Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Dr. Joey interviews Christian business professionals just like you to discover their secrets for working faith positive in a negative world. Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett.
Faith Positive Radio, if you ever think that God has forgotten about you or is not paying attention to you, today's guest is going to help you totally rewire your spirit around that. Because what we're going to hear about today is a God of provision, a God who meets our needs in all times of life and literally has such a strong calling on our life. And that is a lifelong pursuit of God's will for us. My guest today is Kenny Lewis, who for 4 years made the New York Jets look really good as a running back. Let's take a look at some of Kenny's action right here. So Faith Positive Nation, you see what I'm talking about? God's call on Kenny's life that led him up to that point. He was drafted by the Raiders, later played, as I mentioned, 4 years for the Jets. And then he came home to his hometown, which happens to be the area where I live, of Danville, Virginia, to pursue God's will for his life. So Faith Positive Nation, you're in for a treat today. Please, Faith Positive Nation, help me welcome my friend, Kenny Lewis. Kenny, welcome to Faith Positive Radio.
Thank you. I certainly do appreciate this opportunity, and what a wonderful opportunity, a platform to share some good news. I really love that.
Oh, absolutely. Well, there's so many incredible people like you all over the world, Kenny, who are responding to God's call on their lives and making such a great difference. I'm very humbled and excited to have you here today. So you grew up in our hometown of Danville, Virginia, and man, life was kind of tough right there at the beginning for you, wasn't it?
Yeah. I grew up in a family of 5. I was the youngest of 2 brothers and 2 sisters. And matter of fact, I had 2 cousins that stayed with us also. So we were all in the household there. But I was the youngest of all. And I lost my mother. Mother passed away when I was about 1.5 years. And and my father ended up leaving us when I was a junior in high school. So it was a bunch of us grew up together with my, grandmother and my aunts and brothers and sisters kind of pitched in, and we just had to make it, and
so your dad, you were in 11th grade when your dad died as well?
Yeah, 11th grade in high school. My dad passed away, and certainly one of those times that you don't remember, you don't forget for sure. You don't forget those tough times. And but I do feel like that God had his hand on our lives because I recognized we had a gift in our family. One of them was athleticism, and I had a brother who got drafted by the Detroit Pistons. We were so excited about him playing ball. I had my other brother who was the oldest one. He played football, man. He probably should have been the one that made it NFL,
Really?
I never forget when my dad passed away, I was a junior in high school, doing pretty good at George Washington High School, and he was playing football in college, man. I mean, he was, tearing them up. I mean, he was starting, but I got to give him credit. He dropped everything and came back home to make sure that I finished school, and my sisters finished school and went on to school and finished me. And I'll never forget that he probably was the toughest one out of the group that would have made it for sure. But he dropped it all, man. I tell you, I used to couldn't tell this story without breaking down crying, because man, he dropped everything, and came back home, made sure we stayed in line, made sure I kept my grades up, and then I, got a scholarship to Virginia Tech, earned a scholarship to Virginia Tech, and played football there. So he hats off to him. I always like, when I give a testimony or something, I always like to tell how thankful I am to him for coming home and making sure that I wasn't one of those latchkey kids that got caught in the wrong things, and it was so easily to do back at that time, because I had a lot of guys I grew up with that had more talent than I did, but boy, they got caught up in the wrong things, and ended up making those wrong choices.
Yeah, so your big brother came home to make sure that you make good choices, right?
Oh, that's right, exactly right.
He really invested in you. That's a sacrifice that's unheard of today.
Yeah.
That's absolutely amazing. But one of the reasons you developed your talent of athleticism, the gift that God had given you so well, was you were the baby of 5 children and then 2 cousins older than you. You were always competing against people better than you, more developmentally ready to play than you.
Yeah, you're right about that, man. I tell you,
they thumped you, didn't they?
My brothers, man, 6'4", 6'5", and my goodness, I tell you, they were something, man. But they made me earn my keep, that's for sure. I never forget my brother, my oldest brother, man, used to chase me every time I came home just to make sure I was in shape. I had the speed, no question about it. I had the speed. I would definitely get away from them guys for sure.
In other words, you developed the speed to be a successful running back in the NFL because your brother chased you and you were fearful for your life.
I'm telling you, man, he used to make sure that I could run for sure. And
that's incredible.
When I get home, I had to make sure I was ready to go. When I see him, I'm going to be ready to have my right shoes on because he's going to chase me up the road to make sure I was in shape.
That's a great story. Yeah, so your brother really is your claim to fame, right? It was his tutelage.
He did every game, man. Every football game. I was at Virginia Tech. I'll never forget. It's so hot at Virginia Tech in the summertime there. It was cold in the wintertime, but it was hot in the summertime. And I never forget we had a game, and my brother, man, boy, he used to loudest out of the group, man. We would give him great seats right behind the players. Yeah. And I'll never forget one day I was on the sideline and somebody was hollering out at the team, and one of the players said, "Who was that guy, man, making all that noise?" And one guy said, "Shh, don't be too loud, man. That's Kenny Lewis's brother. Don't say nothing. Be quiet. He said. I said, "Oh my goodness!" He was always loud. He's the loudest one in the group, man. I tell you, he was up, man. You didn't
have to wonder where your brother was, right?
I know.
Well, it sounds like despite the tragedy, I mean, you're a year and a half old when your mom dies. You're a junior in high school when your dad dies. It sounds like your family had a deep and abiding faith and commitment, both to God and to each other. What was your faith journey like when you were growing up?
Yeah, I tell you, I certainly have to give God credit for my dad. My dad, man, he was about 6'4", 260. Now he was a big guy too. He was
a little man, huh?
And I'll never forget one day because I used to go to church at a little small Baptist church right up the street from my house, and I never forget one day I missed church one day, and my dad said, "Son, why did you miss church?" He said, "I want you to make sure you let me know whenever you feel like you need to miss church again, And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Either you go to church or you go to Sunday school." And I never forget this right here. I was going to Sunday. I said, "Well, I'm gonna go to Sunday. Go to Sunday school, and so I can get them back home, have fun." And but when I went to Sunday school, my Sunday school teacher said, "Well, class, we're gonna learn the books of the Bible." And when I came home that day, I said, "Dad, I think I'm gonna go switch and go to church from now on."
You weren't interested in having to memorize.
I was not. But my dad, he made me go to church, and and I'd really never forget one day the pastor was preaching. He said, "Tomorrow is not promised to no one." And I never forget him saying that, and it kind of rung in my ears that, one day, man, I tell you, if it's not promised to me, where am I going to go if I leave here early, And, man, I tell you right now, that thing really stayed inside of me to the point where I recognized one day I had to make that decision, and thank God for my pastor planting that seed. And when I gave my life, I was a junior in college, and sophomore in college. I said, I knelt before in my dorm room on the bed, said, "God, I'll turn my life over to you." And I never forget that day Boy, it was made a world of a difference. Like a load was taken off of me, you know. A load was taken off of me. And, never been the same since.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Because when the truth sets you free like that, the burdens are lifted and you can really enjoy that full, abundant life. So what was it like? You say you were a sophomore at Virginia Tech. You were playing football for the Hokies. What was that like for you to become a Christian and to be an athlete? How did that affect your new faith, affect your playing football?
Yeah. That was, I tell you right away what I noticed. And we used to have back in that day, man, we loved it because you had an athletic dorm at the time. I mean, all the athletes in the dormitory, and we had our cafeteria right there in the dorm right there. I mean, it was just nice, taking care of the athletes. And I used to walk through this little bulletin board, walk past this bulletin board every day to get into the cafeteria. And so when I got saved, I noticed this sign on the bulletin board said Fellowship of Christian Athletes meeting, you know, I think it was on Thursdays night at such time. And I said, how long has that sign been up there?
It was like somebody put it up.
That sign has been up there for every year, every week, you know, since you've been here. I said, what? Now, I'm telling you, I really had never noticed that sign.
Wow.
But man, I certainly went to that meeting, the FCA, and boy, I tell you, it really helped me to grow and to develop some friendships. But I tell you, I certainly didn't have that reputation of being a Christian prior to that, you know. Really? And when I had to change some of my habits, guys some kind of wonder, man, what's going on with Kenny Lewis, that kind of thing. What's going on? And but you had that peer pressure because, you know, in college, man, you know, colleges, you know, you've got to have some standards, and you got to have some people who are going to stand with you, because on the weekends, you know what's going on in colleges, man. You got to not even just the weekends, it's the weekdays now, you know.
Yeah, when I was in college, it was Thursday night, but anyway.
Thursdays, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. So, but man, it makes it work. And FCA really helped me to develop some bonds of guys who had similar values and beliefs, and really helped me a lot, for sure.
Oh, wow. So you switched peer groups to a large extent, and that is so important in living out your Christian faith, whether it's on the football field or in the workplace, right?
Yeah, it is very important. And guys, but I was still raised in church, but not necessarily had been a Christian, but I knew how to live, you know, and I knew what was right and wrong, you know.
Yeah, you just weren't doing it.
That's right.
I understand. Yeah. What was it? The Apostle Paul said, the harder I try to do what's right, the more I do what's wrong.
Exactly right. Yeah. Exactly right.
We can relate to that, can't we?
Yep.
So you finished up your time at Virginia Tech, played running back for them 4 years, right? And then you got drafted into the NFL.
Yeah, I got drafted in the 5th round, and matter of fact, I told you I was mentioned that I was drafted originally by the Oakland Raiders, and I always prayed to God, and send me somewhere that it's going to be the weather's nice, you know, where the weather's nice. And,
which left out Minnesota.
That's right. But I tell you, it was so nice out there in Oakland. I tell you, it was really nice. I really loved the weather, you know, and so. I had a wonderful preseason there. I mean, things were going great. Matter of fact, I was the leading rusher during preseason, you know. And
wow, as a rookie?
As a rookie, ain't that something? And
wow.
And Gene Upshaw and Art Shell, those Hall of Famer guys, you know, was there and had a wonderful chance to meet those guys, Jim Plunkett, and meet them guys. And but I noticed, you know, as we were going through the weeks and getting into preseason and getting to the games, I noticed some guys beginning to hurt. Starters begin to get hurt, so they had to keep some guys in order to keep the roster going, you know. And so, you know, I end up the last week, they end up releasing me, saying that I got caught up into the numbers game, you know. And so when they released me, that's when the Jets picked me up. And played 4 with the Jets. Now, I would say that this right here, which I think was really a God thing. no question, I was released. And but I end up, I'll never forget when I went to the Jets. They came in on a Tuesday, which is the off day. You take your physical, that kind of thing. And some of the guys, players are in there getting treatments or whatever. Mm-hmm. I end up meeting this guy. One guy came up to me, the head trainer came up and shook my hand and said, "Look, my name is Bob Reese. I'm the head trainer. Good to meet you. We're going to give you a physical today, and just kind of take it easy, fill out some forms." And then this other guy came up to me and said, "My name is Bruce Harper. I'm the ball boy." I said, "Okay." And so I'll never forget the next day when the practice started, we had a uniform on. And the guy who came to me and said, "My name is Bruce Harper. I'm the ball boy." He was the MVP of the team. I said, "This guy tricked me, man. You tricked me." He started laughing. He started laughing, man. I mean, he was cracking up. And boy, we became the best of friends. I tell you, we became the best of friends. He was a running back, and he became the best of friends. And, man, God used me to lead him to Christ, man. And to this day, man, we are the best friends. Our families. I'm the godparents of his kids. He's the godparent of my kids. Wow. And just a wonderful thing that took place when they happened. But I tell you, I was kind of mad because initially I was kind of mad because, I got released. But if you remember back then, who went to the Super Bowl?
Yes.
The Raiders.
Art Shell and Geno Shaw and Jim Plunkett.
Right? I know it. And I said, "Lord, well, if you use me to draw man to Christ as opposed to the Super Bowl, I can handle it. I can take it."
Absolutely.
I turned God loose for that.
Oh, wow. And you also traded excellent weather for not so excellent weather.
Got that right. You're right about that, man. I
New York,
I can remember a time we practiced and I thought my feet was frostbitten. I tell you.
They probably were.
I said, "Lord, I'm doing it for you here. Doing it for you."
That's it. Yeah. What is that? Colossians 3:23. All things with excellence.
All things. That's right. Exactly right.
I guess you were grateful your brother had chased you in all kinds of weather after school.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah.
Okay, so you had a really nice career with the Jets for 4 years, and that season of your life ended. What was it like at that point for you?
Yeah, I tell you, I've always had the desire to come back. It was just in me. It was always to come back and help out. And I guess part of that was because I had a wonderful relationship with Alger Pugh, and when I growing up through high school and going through the things that I went through in high school, I can remember a lot of people really helping me out, especially my coaches, right. Teachers really helping me out. My church was really there for me, helping us out going through those things.
Tell Faith Positive Nation who Alger Pugh was for you.
Yeah, Alger Pugh is a legendary high school coach at George Washington High School. I mean, the guy won state championships. He was just known for being a winner and known for taking care of his players to make sure, I've literally seen him take players into his house when kids had trouble at home, taking them into his house and making sure they get back on the right track, teaching them the right things, making sure they have clothes, that kind of, he was just that kind of coach.
Wow.
Sure. He was that one, the guy that everybody knew in the community to raise money for the football team, that kind of thing. Just one of those guys. And I never forget when my dad passed away, the first person who knocked on the door, my coach, "Come on, Ken, let's take you out to lunch. Let's talk," and just had a powerful effect upon me. And he's a wonderful, wonderful guy, coach. And, God bless his soul. He's going to transition to heaven right now. And he's just a good man, just a really good man. It was wonderful.
So that was the role model you had in your mind as that fourth season finished up with the Jets, and you felt this desire to come back home, and you wanted to give back the way Coach Pugh had given to you.
Exactly right. That was certainly a big thing to me. What can I do to help these kids out? And had that desire. So when I came back, I never forget Mr. Bob Haskins, who was the principal of the high school at the time.
Right.
He said, "Kenny, we certainly." Matter of fact, he hired me over the phone. He said, "Because of your reputation, we want to give you this position because of where your character is." So I came back to George Washington High School as a teacher and a coach, and sponsor of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
So what was so meaningful to you as a sophomore at Virginia Tech, you took on as the opportunity in Danville to be that FCA sponsor. Wow, talk about giving back. So you came back as a teacher, right?
Yeah.
And you coached football as well?
Football and track, and man, had a wonderful experience. I mean, just had a great experience coaching and won state championships, you know, just amazing. And I tell you that probably the most meaningful thing was being you know, you had to interact with the kids, and I love competition in sports. But man, at FCA, when you brought the guys together, be able to share Christ with those guys and what's meaningful to their life, it is amazing to this very day, guys on Facebook and see me from time to time telling me, man, you don't understand what it means to me, what you did for me during this time we were doing FCA, you know, and we got some of them guys are preaching, some of the guys, man, just amazing, some of them guys, what they're doing and how God used me to do it. It just was a wonderful, wonderful experience.
So you came in as a classroom teacher and a coach and FCA sponsor, but then your career morphed a little bit and you became an assistant principal, right? Yeah.
I got into administration. I felt like that, you know, got a master's degree in public school administration. And I thought that was, you know, I had a good friend of mine who was a guy who was already working in the central office. And he said, Kenny, do you want to consider being in administration, you know? And I thought about it. He said, I guess the way he convinced me was to look, now you have an impact over kids in the classroom and on the field, but now as administrator, you can have experience, you can have influence over the entire school. You know, I thought about that. I said, oh, okay, all right. And,
that's a lot of leverage, isn't it?
I know it is.
God can use you on that larger play.
Exactly right. Largest level too. That's exactly right. So I gave it a try, and really glad I did. You know, really experienced. Started off as a assistant principal, and matter of fact, my junior high at the time, junior high, you know, call it middle school now. My junior high coach, football coach, was the principal.
Really?
And so I was assistant principal, and man, he really taught me right, man. He really knew how to mentor an assistant principal to be a principal. They really did it good. Really did a good job, and I really enjoyed that. Had a good positive experience at the middle school level, and so I went on to. Matter of fact, I stayed in middle school for about 4 or 5 years. Then became a principal. Matter of fact, became a principal, and matter of fact, the principal back at my old high school at George Washington High School, and that really was a good experience. Wow. And that's when I was introduced to. I went to a conference. I went to a conference in Arlington, Virginia, as administrator, and Dr. Andy Overstreet was the superintendent at the time. And one of the breakout sessions was we was going to that conference to look at what can we develop for kids after school? What kind of program can we know after school is that hour, that time when kids really, the juvenile delinquency rate goes up, you know, from after school. So we needed to find something for kids positive after school. And so I went with them to that conference, and we saw this program called the Louisiana Church-Based Tutorial Program. And I said, man, this looks good. So I went to that conference, and man, I was really excited about what I saw. Really was excited, yeah. And so Dr. Overstreet said, Kenny, take the ball and run with it, you know, because we can bring, I think.
And you're used to running with the ball, aren't you?
Exactly right.
Give me the ball.
So I thought it was a great fit, and man, I took it and ran with it, and we started that program here. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So you went from being a school principal at George Washington High School into being now the executive director of the Danville Church-Based Tutorial Program. Yeah,
that's kind of, well, you know, principal. Then I did go to another step in there. I did go to central office, you know, so I went to the office, promoted to work at central office level over all of truancy and attendance and discipline, you know, and for the district. And then you're right. Now I've, as I mentioned before, retired from the NFL. Now retired from Danville Public Schools, and now I'm overseeing founder and director of the Danville Church-Based Tutorial Program, where I am now, and it's just amazing what God is doing. I tell you, it is amazing.
Tell us how that program works, because I know there's some people, Kenny and Faith Positive Nation, whose ears are perked up right now, and they're saying, a church-based tutorial program, after school tutoring for kids. Tell us how it works.
Yeah, I tell you, it's a wonderful program. I feel like it's certainly God's hand is up on this program, because what really excited me about it is because we got a chance to put education and our faith back together, where it all started, really, School started in the church.
Yes.
And what happened is that we do sign an agreement with the schools. We sign a memorandum of understanding to work with these schools to help tutor our kids. So what I do is I go to the pastors of the churches, because, Danville is known as the city of churches. And I said, I go to the pastor and say, look, would you consider this being a part of your vision of your church? An outreach of your church? And when the pastor said yes, and I said, well, can you get a group of people who are interested in this outreach ministry? Then I can come and do an informal meeting with them to share with them our model. And we adopted that model from Louisiana to train the trainer model, where we come in and give them informal meeting about it to make sure we got everything in place. And then we come in and train them on the model of the church, of how we run the program, from the agenda all the way down to every instructional process that we do. So, and once I come in and share with them and answer all of the questions, then we say, well, we like to have at least one person that could be that coordinator, that leader at your site, because it's a church-based, and we really like for that church to be your program, your outreach. And so we will come in, you have a coordinator, then make sure you have a person that can cover each core subject area, all 4 courses, math, reading, science, social studies, can cover that area. And then, what we will do is come in and train them on our model, to kind of let them know the structure of the program. Make sure we show them how to set up their stations and how to teach them on math and how to teach reading, to make sure they got those core subject things down and they got the material. So what we will do is we'll come in, we'll provide them with a free computer lab. We'll provide them with a free computer lab. We will give them an educational budget. And also we'll make sure they have all the supplies of snacks they need for the kids. And also we ask them, part of that model is that they do a devotion with those kids, make sure that you share the love of Christ with each one of those children. So I think it's really been a blessing to our region. I mean, I've had parents who literally come to me crying, asking me, what did you do to my child?
Oh, wow.
And tell you what happens is that
overflowing.
Oh, that's right. Overflowing. That's right. Because what happens is that they can, we try to keep our ratio no more than 1-to-4 ratio, one tutor per 4 children. And what happens is that they develop that relationship with them, and they can get to those little intricate details to make sure kids understand the process, especially when it comes to math and the steps. Make sure they got because math, is a progression, and you miss a step, you can really throw you off. And when they really smooth out those ideas, the kids, it really clicks. They get it, And man, they feel good about themselves, and self-esteem, Right. And they want to go to school, and it kind of takes off some of that pressure, and it stops that cycle. And kids, man, they really turn around, they really turn around. And so we started off with about 7 sites. Now we got about 37 sites right now. So, God is really blessing.
And how many children are you reaching in the Danville, Virginia region?
We probably reach a little over 500 kids. And so we, being that we are a volunteer-based program, so we have plenty of room to expand, for sure. Plenty of room to expand. If a church feel like this is part of their outreach, and they have some educators or people who can tutor, they don't necessarily have to be educators, because as long as people can know how to do, help kids out with math and reading, and we'll give them the material and activities and show them how to do it. Because man, kids just need to know those fundamental basic stuff, And so we'll love to work with any churches that are really interested. We do background checks on everybody. cover that expense, that kind of thing. So
right, exactly. So if someone in Faith Positive Nation is hearing this and they're thinking to themselves, hey, I wonder if our area has something like that, what I hear you saying is you need some space in a church facility.
right.
Then you need someone who's passionate about that, whether it's a retired educator or someone like that. You and I know some retired educators who've been coordinators with this, right? And then when you set up the computer lab, you don't have to be a math whiz. You just have to help the child work through the program on the computer. Sounds like to me the biggest requirement is somebody who's got some time to give and a heart full of Jesus.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Low time. We say about no more an hour and a half to 2 hours, and they choose maybe 1 or 2 days a week. They don't have to do it every day, because kids gonna adapt to what you expect for them. And every time you come in, expect them, to bring in their homework. We're expecting you to do well. Right. Man, they're gonna be looking forward to that time for you to spend with them and hold them accountable. Yeah. And so those who are willing to put that little time in for them kids.
Oh, yeah, man, what a gift. I know it's an expensive gift because it's our time and we have yet to create any more of that, but man, it's God's time and he's gifted us with it. And so
that's what I try to do. I try to make sure they understand this is a outreach ministry. You're ministering to these kids, and we do. And I say God has really blessed the Church-Based Tutorial Program because we do give out little stipends and periodically just to say thank you. It's not, certainly can't pay them for all their time, but man, just give them a stipend to say thank you for helping out, that kind of thing.
Right. Well, for me, it would just be Starbucks gift card and I'm good to come back, right? just a token of esteem, right? To make somebody feel special. So Kenny, how do you coordinate with the local school system to find out who are the students that would most benefit from the Church-Based Tutorial Program?
Yeah. So what we do is that we certainly advertise, Facebook, or we'll advertise through the school system. We give the school system the list of all of our sites.
Okay.
And the school system send them to all the children, to all the teachers. Teachers put them in the report cards of those kids who need us the most.
Gotcha.
And we go home to those parents, and the parents call and register. Every child has to be registered to come to the site. And then we work with community centers. We're in all the housing development centers. We do develop our sites there also. So if anybody got a community center, we do work with them and develop those sites. And the schools, they sign an MOU understanding because we do want to be accountable for the kids that we are working with, and they give us permission to make sure we collect their grades, their attendance, their behavior, so we can certainly monitor those behaviors and that kind of thing. So we do share. We're part of United Way agency, and United Way certainly is all about impact. What kind of impact are you having? That kind of thing. So we make sure we evaluate and make sure we're doing our job.
Well, anytime you're investing, especially a spiritual investment in the lives of children, the impact, is immeasurable. Tell us a story about one student that sticks out in your mind over the years of doing the Danville Church-Based Tutorial Program, who this program really made a difference in her or his life.
Yeah, I tell you. It's amazing how we had developed a lot of great partnerships in our program also. United Way, we're a United Way agency, Avery University, DCC, the Institute for Advanced Learning Research, Danville Science, and we got a lot of partners that kind of help us out. And one of the partnerships we developed with is Avery University, and we have those students, Barnum leader students, who come in and help us out. And I never forget one of our Avery students who was working with the student, and the student was making D's and F's, and so she began to develop a relationship with her and try to figure out what's going on with her to find out why she was missing those problems, and the girl began to take on to her, and boy, I never forget the Avery student was so excited when the girl came through the door one day and showed, look what I got on this test score. She first passed the test. She was just so excited,
Wow.
And then she came back, man. She kept working with her and came back, and she couldn't believe it. She said, look, you won't believe it. The Avery student was crying. The girl brought her report card and said, first time I ever made the honor roll.
Wow.
From D's to F's.
Wow.
That's the impact, man, that happens,
Oh,
and it happens over and over. Let me tell you another one, real quick one. We developed a little partnership with the police department, police and sheriff department, where the police will come by and just drop in, on our sites, on their road, on their regular journey. And one of the police officers said that he saw this little girl who was struggling a little bit reading the book. So he went over there and said, can I help you read this book? So he helped her through to read the book, And then she said that, I got a computer over here that I need to read this story on. Can you help me out with this? So he went over there and was reading.
He was hooked.
I know he was hooked. So we got an online reading program where they read this passage and they answer these questions.
Right.
Well, he helped her to read the passage and answer those questions. And she got all of them right. She said, I've never got all of them right before,
Wow.
And, ain't it something? And then she said, come over here and help my friends out over here. So she so he went over there helping the friends out there. He said, look, I got to go now. She said, don't go yet. She said, well, I'll be back to another day. She said, don't go yet. And she said, but I'll come back. Wow. And she said, and this is what she said. She made this statement. She said, I'm going to tell my mommy that I like the policemen now.
Oh, wow.
Ain't that something? Ain't that something?
Oh, wow.
I tell you, boy, it made us, it made me think, this is why we do this, man.
Yes.
This is why we do it. Because, she had a bad impression about who the police was and what they, but now that he came in, it's just amazing what this program is really doing to kids and making an impact.
Yes, and a little child shall lead them, right?
That's right, exactly right.
Yeah. Kenny, somebody in Faith Positive Nation is going to be so inspired by your story that they're going to want to reach out to you and discover more about the Church-Based Tutorial Program. And they want to put it into play in their community so they can have these kinds of immeasurable impacts for the cause of Christ and education in their local area. What's the website that people can go to and get in touch with you?
Yeah, they go to my website. It's www.dcbpt.com. That's for every word, or the first letter for each word on Danville Church-Based Tutorial Program. www.dcbpt.com. So, and plus we're on Facebook. So you can certainly connect us with there. So I think it's a lot of great things are going on at this time, for sure.
Absolutely. And if you're driving down the road or walking the dog or on a treadmill or something as you're listening to this, just go to Kenny's page on our website at getpositive.today under Faith Positive Radio. You'll find that link right there, and you can click over. Kenny's email address, telephone number is there. As you can tell, the man has a heart the size of Texas. He might have played in New York, but he has a heart the size of Texas. And we'd be more than happy to help you and your community and Christians who want to be Christ to these children and help improve graduation rates and self-esteem and so many other positive things that happen in your community. Kenny, I know there's got to be a Bible story, a Bible passage or verse or something that drives you, that maybe even one that God gave you when you were a sophomore there at Virginia Tech, kneeling by your bed and receiving Christ. What's your favorite Bible verse that drives you, man?
Yeah, I tell you, certainly have many of them, but really, one I think about in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. We're going to trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding. Acknowledge him in all of your ways, and he will direct your path. And he has really been directing my path, because I really acknowledge him, because he has no question taken me through some crazy situations, and I acknowledge that he has blessed me. He always direct me in the right direction. Sometimes, you take a wrong path sometime, but boy, he gets us back on that right path. I'm so thankful for that.
Oh, wow. Well, Kenny, I'm certainly inspired by your story, my friend, and I thank you for the gift of your time and wisdom today. Kenny Lewis is the founder and executive director of the Danville, Virginia Church-Based Tutorial Program. Reach out to him at his website. You can click on the link on his page on getpositive.today, our website, and then go there and have a conversation with him. Because you and I, regardless of biology, can impact and parent children and make a significant difference and help them understand who they are in Christ and help them grow to be who the good Lord made them to be. Kenny, thank you for the gift of your time today. Pray God's blessings on you and your wife and your family. We just thank you for all that you do for our region, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I received that. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Faith Positive Radio, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Suggest guests and ask questions when you email Dr. Joey at info@getpositive.today. And be sure to get your free gift of the 5 positive business conversations to have today coaching program at getpositive.today. Until next time, may God bless you with everything your heart can hope for and more than your mind can imagine.